The Talking Cheeseheads on CheeseheadTalk.com.
All right, we're the Talking Cheeseheads, CheeseheadTalk.com. You can always find us, our entire podcast, on iTunes each and every day. Go to iTunes, type in the Talking Cheeseheads, and we're there for you. All of Wisconsin sports every single day on the Talking Cheeseheads on CheeseheadTalk.com. Time now. We do it every Thursday. We check some emails. We catch up on all of our to-dos, and we bust out the thank you notes. You remember the thank you notes in the true spirit of the master of thank you notes, Jimmy Fallon? You know what I'm talking about, right? So time to bust out thank you notes for the week and turn up the music a little bit because it's time to have a sense of overall gratitude for what we're thankful for. First thing I'm thankful for today, thank you to Pedro Gomez of ESPN for being the Chris Hansen of steroid busting. You remember Chris Hansen, right? The guy who busted all the child predators on Dateline NBC. I'll tell you, when Pedro Gomez shows up, he's got those steroid goons locked up. He's on the story. If Pedro Gomez ever showed up to my door, without even knowing it, I would say, guilty. I must have unknowingly ingested PEDs. You know, somehow they made it into my body without my knowledge. But I'll tell you something, I'd much rather have Pedro Gomez show up to my front door than Chris Hansen. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Thank you, high school spring sports, for dominating local sports coverage on all the local newscasts around the area. It's always fantastic. You know, I spend my entire day longing, waiting, on the edge of my seat to see how the girls' soccer team from the high school 45 minutes from my house did in the regionals that day. So important. It's so much more important to do stories on those teams rather than, you know, the Packers or the Brewers or the Badgers or any teams that everyone cares about as opposed to teams that no one cares about. Thank you, San Antonio Spurs, for playing the game the right way. You know what I mean. You let your play do the talking. Defense, shooting, passing, fundamentals. You're showing the kids how things should be done. And then, of course, getting beat by the more talented team in the NBA Finals. A little bit of a prediction there. You know, it reminds me of the Wisconsin Badgers who do the same exact thing. Except they usually lose to a more talented team in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Not in the Final Four. Thank you, Tony Bosch, for being the very embodiment of the exact person you would cast in your role if this whole story was a movie and not reality. In fact, if this were a movie about a crooked dealer of PEDs to sports stars, you probably wouldn't even be cast because you'd be such a stereotypical sleazeball that the producers of the movie would fear it would be too unbelievable. But it's not. It's real life, and here you are. Thank you, Milwaukee Brewers, for proving that your month of May was absolutely no fluke, as evidenced by your start to the month of June so far. Good baseball being played there. Finally, thank you, preschool and kindergarten graduation ceremonies, for giving our children that super false sense of security that they've actually accomplished something. They're truly fortunate to have passed this brutal test, preschool and kindergarten, so hard. I mean, just think of all the children who fail preschool and kindergarten. I mean, the statistics are unbelievable. They're all over the place. All right. Those are thank you notes. I love sarcasm. I'm Ben Larson. We are the Talking Cheeseheads. Again, like I said, our entire podcast is on iTunes. Go to iTunes, type in the Talking Cheeseheads. You can become a subscriber and hear the whole show every day. We talk about the best in Wisconsin sports. My thanks to Justin Hall for Braun conversation and Packer defense conversation today. You can also check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/TalkingCheeseheads, and Twitter. We're on Twitter at Cheesehead Talks. And again, YouTube, Talking Cheeseheads YouTube channel as well. I'm Ben Larson. We'll talk to you again tomorrow right here on the Talking Cheeseheads, CheeseheadTalk.com.
You've been listening to the Talking Cheeseheads. For more Talking Cheeseheads and more talk about Wisconsin sports, visit CheeseheadTalk.com.